Off to explore and see what is going on. Just going to be seeing our gas in the racks coming down. So far, so good. And a spawn and pull first from Ragnarok, really making sure he's not going to be under any immediate pressure. We'll see if that actually leads into any potential aggression for him as we continue through. Would have preferred BYUN to play any of the pros since his TVP has been incredible. Yeah, I actually, it's an interesting one. I do feel like maybe again, like Scarlet against Ragnarok and BYUN against like Classic or so might have been cool, but I actually feel like BYUN's just been good in general anyway, so I feel like as long as he gets the game going in his way early, what I'm worried about is even if BYUN wins map 1, I'm worried about map 2. Because map 2 is going to be Ragnarok's map pick, and if he can just pick like Pride of Altaras or something huge, that's where I'm going to be kind of worried about BYUN. That's where I feel like, Terrans in general are a bit weaker. But I feel like the way BYUN likes to play is especially weaker, so something to look at as you do see that single Ling chasing down and killing an SCV. It's just going to be seen as Reaper is able to pick off a circling as well. I mean, like I say, it's obviously a pool first, so a couple Lings on the map early. And we still have a few of them off to the left-hand side. BYUN is not being too afraid of much, though, dropping down a reactor. His factory is building up. And a couple of Queens continue on through. A couple of drones continuing to build. As we get this continued here in game number 1 of the matchup. BYUN played some really cool games against Serral the other day in the TSL qualifier. It'll be up on my YouTube. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but in a couple days' time, I'm going to have the TSL qualifiers starting to go up. There was a really cool best of 3 where BYUN honestly was kind of just dying, but he really made like really cool games out of it. And I really thought it was very cool to see someone just be able to, you know, take on Serral, be kind of beaten down, and then pick himself back up again and just try and drag it out, you know. And that's one thing BYUN has been great at, kind of extending games, sometimes winning when Zerg gets a bit frustrated and just overthrows units into him. So, something to keep in mind, maybe not so much on this map, but on the map after this, whichever it may be. For now, we're just getting toward our starports, we will head into some initial aggression here from BYUN, getting that ready to go. And otherwise, the factory just, otherwise exactly what we expect. It's going to be a medevac, so he is going to get a medevac, but he's going to start Cloak in case of an Overlord Scout. He could go for Banshee after this as well. Banshee's just very safe on this map, which is obviously very small, so roaches come across quickly. So we'll see if it ends up being a fake out, or if he really will go for a little bit of Banshee play in the end. As this Hellion and the Reaper moving around in the center, and just seeing what they can get up to. Again, seeing this first medevac finish. I mean, yeah, like I say, you can absolutely go Banshee behind this. That's not an unheard of build either. It's less common because then you're investing a lot off of that starport. The Banshees are a bit later and so on. And he's going to start an Armory and a Banshee. So wow, we're really going to go like all out. So initial Marine drop, then Hellbats, then he's going to have Banshees. It is really just one hit after the other that BYUN is trying to line up here for this game. So you've seen our Marines unloading into the main base. A few Lings just sitting away for the moment, obviously waiting for the right time to fight. As these few Marines, you know what I like about this is it almost feels like you're faking pressure a little bit, right? Because it's like, hey, look, it's a bit of a Marine drop and stuff. It's like, it's not Hellbats, you know, don't be too worried. And then actually it is going to be Hellbats, and that's maybe where BYUN can get a lot done. And then, of course, like I say, Banshees on the follow-up to this as well can also be very scary. So I really do love the combination that we're getting to see at least. As in we go, beautiful grenade on the Queens. That's a fantastic start for BYUN. One Queen got bopped right into a surround. That was incredible. As now we move into the natural, and another Queen goes down. Another Queen gets caught. Oh no, this is bad for Ragnarok. BYUN just needs to split up against these Banelings, but they do get in for good connections on the Hellbats. 2 Hellbats in the back, going to be supported by some Marine fire now. Oh, it's such a shame for BYUN to take such bad Baneling hits because everything else about this was so good at the start. Oh, but there's the Banshee showing up. Queens aren't here. There's no detection available yet. The Slayer is not ready. And we've already killed 4 drones, 5, and there are some that are low HP. So many one-hittable drones. If you can just get here and actually start one-hitting them, that would be nice. Did he cancel Cloak? Oh, he must have canceled Cloak, right? He doesn't Cloak up yet? Oh, no, he does have Cloak. I was going to say. I don't know why he wouldn't cloak in the natural. Maybe there was a spore there that I just didn't see because of where the observer's camera is placed at the moment. Just going to sit between the bases now, get some free damage until the Overseer pops out. Then this Banshee will have to make its getaway. But 9 drones does lose that Banshee a little bit unnecessarily. But 9 drones killed, a couple queens early. Man, can you imagine if these Hellbats had just split a little better against the Banelings? I think this game might have just straight up ended. That would have been kind of wild for sure. Okay, well, bit of a game then to start off with. BYUN definitely successful on the aggression. Coming out of this, RAGNAROK still has a decent work account because he's been doing nothing but pumping out drones. But doing nothing but pumping out drones means he's not been getting units onto the map, which you usually would have liked to have out by now. And that's obviously a little bit of a problem. That's definitely a step away from where you would have liked this to be. As we're going to see, this orbital command is going to go to the 3rd base, and BYUN will be up on 3 bases now in just a couple of moments. So as that gets 3rd base gets set up, we see the Hydrogen coming through, hatchery is building, all of this getting underway. Here comes that first kind of ground push of the game, and this is where you're going to see where RAGNAROK had to build a lot of drones and had to skip out on the army a bit. This is where you can maybe see BYUN actually taking a bit of a more serious lead overall in this push of the game right now. Let's have a look and see, as we do see these first Marines put on some decent pressure to begin with, though, so not too bad there right away. Alright, well, game for the moment is just going to level out a little bit, so that's good news. I mean, just getting to a little bit of a comfortable setup here, nothing too crazy just yet. I mean, obviously just waiting to see if anything exciting is going to end up happening. BYUN doesn't do much with his push. He does have 1-1 in his favor, and he does start his next couple of upgrades. We'll be waiting on those to kick in, as we do see Hydra Bane going to make a push in, and BYUN going to get jumped on before he had his extra units ready to go. But he is trading well off creep. That's obviously the negative here for his opponent. That, well, yeah, just off creep is just not going to be a pretty place to be. That's not really somewhere you want to stick around or anything. And that definitely has quite an impact along the way as well. Marines is putting a bit of pressure onto that hatchery then, as we've got the tank up on that high ground. That high ground position to the left is definitely proven to be one of the better positions for Terran players, one of the stronger positions for Terran players in general in this kind of map. It's definitely been notable as of late. It's just going to be seeing our Marines able to get rid of this hatchery. Now, RAGNAROK's starting to expand up the right-hand side. We'll see what BYUN starts to do about that, see how he approaches this, of course, and all the rest of it. So, setting up for that right here. And seeing how we continue through in this game number 1, of course. BYUN still maintain that 10-ish supply lead, which is a good sign, but obviously it's nothing that a couple of good bailing connections can just change in an instant. So don't get carried away or anything, right? You know, there's a long way to go yet. BYUN is just setting up well as he gets another Overlord kill there. That feels a little bit surprising that that actually just happens in general. So that was a little bit weird. But far from end of the world kind of territory or anything like that, as these Marines can need to lift up and back away, and that's exactly what they will do. Yeah, there's a lot of units. I was going to say, like, over here. Oh, this is cute. You can siege the main from here, and then if you drop into the main, obviously you're going to be able to do okay. He does lose already 1 medevac, though, and he is quick to just get out of there, realizing he does not really want to stick around. Just saying, yeah, this is just going to be a little bit too much if I really try and stick around, make it happen right now. It's just not really worth it. So yeah, just going to back it up for the moment. Marines is coming through this watchtower, taking a little bit of damage, nothing too crazy. Just going to see the Marines getting pushed back. I say the watchtower taking a bit of damage, just mean the units around that watchtower trading out a little bit. I guess there's still nothing really too crazy amongst that, just Fun little setup, bit of a fight. Just going to see Hive on the way and Lurkers on the way from Ragnarok. This is where the momentum of this game can absolutely change, so we'll see how BYUN preps to deal with it. There's a good amount of tanks out already, that will help. The Lurkers are coming up without size and expands yet as well, so it's not the end of the world sort of thing. It's not like these Lurkers are going to be all-powerful and unkillable, etc. You do have a little while to play around here, essentially, so like I say, not maybe the most immediate kind of concern. Well, drones have gone down. BYUN just really protecting this location. He's going to go to the left side for his fourth base, which I do like. For a long time, people were taking their fourth base over on this right-hand side, and it wasn't really working. It was a position that the Zerg were able to attack into easily, and it definitely just felt like not the place you actually wanted to be in the end of the day. So, much more of a fan of this left side base being taken as the fourth. I think that's definitely a step in the right direction. Medevacs and tanks still moving around, and BYUN is maxed out, while Ragnarok will not be. As BYUN going to try and take a bit of a further forward stand here, try and make his way towards some of these bases, which obviously are absolutely his targets here. Going to be seeing these Lurkers are kind of on their own, but I mean, do you have enough to really do anything about them being on their own? That's obviously the problem, and right now I think the answer is no, you kind of don't have anything to do about that. You just kind of got to live with it for now. You just got to wait up a little bit, and this is partly where, you know, having Ghosts and Liberators and stuff would have already been nice. Ragnarok finally getting rid of this position on the south side. That's a position he's been hoping to get rid of for a long time, so nice to finally get it done. And as these Lurkers do get burrowed up, now we've got some Vipers abducting tanks in as well. Like I say, I think we're beyond due getting the Ghosts, and this is just the one part of the game where BYUN is sometimes a little bit stubborn. He believes his bio tank play can just get the job done. He will not move to Ghost a lot of the time, even when he really should. And like I say, the stubbornness might be what ends up really hurting him here, because it has done so many times before. We've seen it, we've casted it. Yeah, let's hope it's not quite the case. We'll cancel this base down here. That's nice. Just these couple Marauders having one last hurrah before their medevac gets shot down by the Hydras. And you stim in, it's going to be a Lurker and a good bit of creep spread, so again trying to create some position over here. Nice split away on the medevac, and making sure the parasitic bombs are not going to be overly effective or overly impactful in the game. Another command center. I mean, so many command centers on the left-hand side. BYUN absolutely accepting to take this into kind of a macro game at the moment. So, happy to take that there. As you see, the Lurker on the right gets picked off. So that's going to end up going down. And just going to say the few Marines try and make their way forward. Tank fire looking good already. A lot of tanks here, killing off a lot of the Ling Bane. These Lurkers in a good amount of trouble as well to begin with. As, I mean, this fight continues through. BYUN finally getting a few Ghosts up. One of these fights where I think BYUN is kind of okay with this so far, and I'm kind of surprised to see his opponent still pushing forward. Another siege tank here. He just needs to get rid of these Banelings. Once the Banes are gone, I actually don't think the Lurkers are that much of a threat. BYUN's actually just going to start counterattacking, though. He says, I can't actually deal with these Lurkers right now, so he is just going to go across the map instead. So he doesn't quite agree with my... I mean, obviously they're a threat, right? But I was going to say, like, I don't feel like they're like an immediate sort of like, oh, you can't fight this at all. He's got Ghosts up, right? Like, I feel like he should have some potential to deal with this without too much problem. Anyways, game goes on, and I do see BYUN deciding to come back around. Those Lurkers are gone now, and it's 3-3 from BYUN. His upgrades are there. He's just getting a couple more Vikings, and like I say, he has been focusing somewhat on the Ghosts recently as well, so that is nice to see too, because it was obvious that they needed to be kind of set up into. Like I say, we saw those Lurkers taken to the field, and it can be dangerous if you're a BYUN fan to just see him starting to play against Lurkers and he's not got the Ghost yet, and you're like, is he going to build the Ghost? Because sometimes he doesn't, and it's like, uh-oh. Yeah, this time around he does. Fire Force is just going to sit here as the Lings get pushed back. Remember that this map has a max of 6 bases, and that's going to be a pretty big deal. It means you run out of economy faster than usual, basically, as the Zerg. You run out of bases to go to, and you're limited in where you can expand to when you're being denied in certain places as well. So, Those are all problems, and that's why RAGNAROK has to stay somewhat aggressive in these fights as well. He has to be somewhat happy and okay to just say, okay, let's take this fight then, let's just go again, let's, you know, go one more time. There's just not really much of a way around that when you're kind of playing a game like this on a map like this. There's only so much you can do in that regard. Been really holding his bottom side while taking some good trades here in the last little while as we get nukes on the way up. A whole bunch more command centers. I mean, BYUN is really just playing into a very strong late game, actually. Well, the ghosts weren't super quick to come around, and he still doesn't have loads of them. I guess you don't really need loads of them necessarily against what you're playing against. EMP's coming down, but he didn't hit all of the Vipers. There is some with energy left, a Blind Cloud and a Duck going off. Now you need a couple of snipes on these lurkers as well. Obviously, all of these fights happening off creep helping BYUN big time. If they were on creep, this would be way, way, way worse for him. So obviously good to see that that is, in fact, not the case. Able to take these fights away from where they would be perhaps just that little bit extra problematic. And the thing is, RAGNAROK kind of has to fight here too, because he kind of is already thinking about needing this 6th base. So if he doesn't fight for this position and BYUN's just allowed to have it, well, where do you take your final base of the game? You don't. BYUN's already going up to his final bases of the game. You know, if he doesn't lose a base from here on out, he's got all of his bases. And these lurkers are playing aggressive plays, knowing they need to kind of somewhat push in. BYUN losing a fair amount of supply, but the thing is, on the follow-up, he's always going to kill a fair amount as well, I think, in these scenarios, and that's kind of exactly what's happening so far. Scans out, sees what's left over there. RAGNAROK has rebuilt a little bit faster off the back of this, so if RAGNAROK could maybe find a fight like in the next moment or two, that could actually be one of the bigger deals of this, right, of this game. That could maybe be the deal breaker here, so something else for us to watch out for. He's going to come around the bottom left. I mean, BYUN can give up this base. This is not the end of the world. He does not need base 6 already in this game. As like I said, just dropping in supply quite a lot, actually. 15 SCVs going down. So a lot of work is going down, in fact. I mean, that's obviously a sizable chunk of what's happening here. So we've seen a couple of workers finally dealt with on the top side as well. BYUN just can't remax, and now that he's lost some workers as well, remaxing is going to be even more difficult. So this is going to be a problem with him, or for him here. Let's see, Plantry chilling on the top side. Lane Bane Hydra coming back around the top. See a few snipes already lining up, a bunch of these Hydras going down, and we do start to make a little bit of a move out there as we push to the top side. Again, BYUN just needs a bit of time to stabilize. You know, his base count's still good. He just needs time to have the chance to max out again, right? He just needs those opportunities, and you'll get them with time. And that's obviously the scary part here. Do you get that amount of time? You know, sometimes not really. This time I think we are kind of getting there. We are kind of getting to that point. It's turned out to be okay. So, yeah. Onwards we go as we see a few Lings just getting chased away there as well. Very nice little land here. I'm just going to be a nuke that disconnects. Nothing really major at the end of the day, just a little bit of damage. That's upright. And 20 minutes deep, BYUN is getting back to that maxed out stage, is getting back to where he more or less wants to be in this, so getting back to that point. A couple Broodlords on the way through at the moment, so getting the Broodlord count up is it's going to be another problem for BYUN. I mean, how much of a problem? It's an interesting question, because Ghosts obviously do deal with Broods, so I wouldn't say it's like an immediate, like, uh-oh, this is really bad for you sort of thing. There's been so many good snipes here. RAGNAROK losing so many tech-based units, actually, losing especially like some Vipers and stuff. He is trying to take the bottom left. That's something BYUN can't let happen. BYUN cannot allow RAGNAROK to take a base that's meant to be his, because that shifts the difference in bases in this game from being even to being +2 bases for RAGNAROK. because obviously BYUN is down a base and Ragnarok gains a base, so that is just too much of a net difference to allow to happen. You cannot let that be a thing. That's something to be very, very careful about here as BYUN moving through this for sure. Taking away a few of the creep tumors there. Let's get rid of that bottom left base. Like I say, I think that's really important. If you don't do that, I think you're really just in a lot of trouble. It's almost essential in my eyes. Otherwise, yeah, you would have just been in a world of pain. So nice to get rid of that. BYUN can take that base for himself now. Do have the Broodlords moving forward, so we're going to start seeing just how effective this can be. There are a few Vikings up. You know, it's not like there isn't again, answers at the moment to this. Scan in the upper right-hand corner is a couple of the Thors, just going to move forward a little bit. The Corruptors are moving through, and again, just going to be seeing the army of Ragnarok around that bottom side. Good amount of Broodlords getting set up, etc. Yeah, let's see. I mean, obviously, you can see BYUN is, representing the Broodlord threat in his production at the moment. Getting a couple more Vikings. He was building a Thor a little while ago. The few Thors being added in general, I think, are just a great idea. That's something which can obviously help to just aid you against those broods. They can be actually pretty good at just putting damage out on Broodlords. They can also be fairly tanky. As the few ghosts are just lining up some more snipes, EMPing towards those infestors. Obviously, you do not want to let the infestors get a fungal growth off. The moment the infestors get a fungal growth is the moment where your ghost can't snipe anymore, and everything else becomes pretty problematic, in fact. So definitely something to watch out for there as a nuke lines up on the edge of the creep spread. Just forcing the spores back, keeping the position of Ragnarok at bay. A little bit of overkill just for some creep tumors, but hey, gets the job done, guys. Gets the job done, huh? Been sending a few units top right. It feels like we've seen nothing top right. And as the army of Ragnarok becomes a little bit slower, hitting the top right base and getting rid of that could be a cool way to punish Ragnarok's economy a little bit and to actually deal some damage. Because, yeah, it's just not something you've really, somewhere you've really been for a while as BYUN. And if Ragnarok is going to camp out and take that bottom left corner, that's a problem. I think it's important that you get in over here and do something about this base then at least. I mean, even the base south of this is already kind of long gone. It's mined out pretty much, so this is the only base you can have an impact on right now without taking a straight-up fight against the Brood Infester. It's kind of rough, though, right? Do you really want to be playing against that army in the bottom left? Do you really want to be in a position where you have to fight that? Not really. That's not good for you. I think that's a real major concern for BYUN at the moment, because it's not a pretty position to have to fight in at all. It really is not. Lords come in, just going to be taking down Siege Tank already. The few ghosts to clear up. Yeah, if Ragnarok just gets to mine that bottom left base, I mean, BYUN is on the way to being out of money. He's got gas to still mine. He does have a mineral bank. That's how the game lines up at the moment, just in general. Things are back around that right-hand side. The Bane's coming through too. The few Marines are going to get rid of that extractor. BYUN obviously going to send a command center top right, which I think is the right idea. You know, we talk about being able to trade efficiently and mine efficiently. And obviously taking that top right side is a pretty important part of all this as well, so that shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. This Snake's going to land for a couple of SCVs, clip the edge of a few queens. Two more Thors on the way. I do like the Thors. I do think the Thors are the one thing that's going to help a lot against those Broods. What I do wonder, obviously, is as we see Neural coming up, is if they get Neuraled, what do you do to deal with the Infestors? I think that's just a problem in general. There are a lot of Infestors here, and they are not going to be easy to deal with in the slightest. As a couple of tanks move forward, they're going to get sieged up. We're going to line up a nuke onto the front lines here again, as he actually Neuraled the Ghost. When you Neural the Ghost, it doesn't automatically cancel the nuke, but you can then control the nuke and cancel the nuke as you're controlling the Ghost, right? I remember one game, I think it was Risky against Beast Security. Risky Neuraled the Ghost and just assumed it auto-cancelled. And then he didn't realize that you actually have to cancel it yourself, so the nuke landed and everything just blew up. Scanning out and investigating what else is going on here as we get all feisty. A couple of abducts going in. Some of the corruptors getting kited back. I mean, to be fair, the Vikings are doing pretty well, especially with the kiting. And if you can just get to that bottom left base and deny a bit of the mining there or something. I just saw a medevac loading up. I was going to say, you can kind of drop down here, so again, that kind of thing is something which I think we kind of got to look at to some extent at the moment. Like, anything you can do to stop that base mining, because otherwise Ragnarok just gets too much in this game. Right now he's struggling for gas though, so if you do kill units, the gas rebuild is going to be a difficulty for Ragnarok, and that maybe is one of the hopeful moments, or one of the hopeful just parts of this game in general here. Trucks coming through, the Vikings being picked up. Brutalo's taking some shots here. We're going to be seeing a massive fungal growth going off already, as we do see the Brutes going to turn around once again. A couple Liberators sieging up, and just going to be seeing at the end of all of this, I mean, at the end of all this, it's not too bad across the board, right? I mean, it's still kind of somewhat evened out. I love even just sniping the Overseers. That is something you have to spend gas on. It is an investment to get back online, so it is absolutely worth killing those Overseers. I mean, Sniper's obviously free with the energy. That was a good fungal on the Ghost, though, and the Brood's trying to take advantage, trying to kill these Ghosts off. This duel in the bottom left continues, and it is just ongoing, right? As we move on through this, we're going to go for a few more kills. Here come the Lings, going to come and try and fight as well. The tanks are going to get a few shots off as well. There's a couple of Neurals on a Thorn, a Siege tank. Needs to get rid of the Infestors right now. One more Neural went off, though, just before he got the fungal off. Oh, the Neural's definitely helping Ragnarok a lot as the supply is swung into his favor. He's rebuilding Zerglings, by the way, as these Vikings are coming through to fight this. Well, here come the Corruptors to say something about it. We're getting some snipes down. The EMP goes off. Lings are running in. The supplies are still dropping so evenly as snipes are remaining. If you can just snipe down these Broodlords, there's not going to be much other damage to be done. Some of them are such low HP that Thor is helping out. Brood after Brood is going down, and it is done. BYUN has turned the Broodlord army around. A few new Broodlords are on the way in, but you're never going to have that amount of Broodlords to play with again as Ragnarok, and that's going to be a big issue as BYUN gets a lot of Marines on the way in response to Ragnarok just getting a lot of his own low-tech units on the way, because neither player has a lot left after all of this has gone down. Madness here in this TVZ. BYUN taking a 20 supply lead, clearing up the Broodlords. And now these Ghosts are making their way in. BYUN is going to take the top right again, by the way, and if Ragnarok doesn't realize that, that's a problem. Can these Lings with Adrenal and so on be enough? I mean, the Corruptors coming through threatening the Medivacs, but they won't be enough, and BYUN's going to turn those Lings away, no problem. He's going to have snipes on the Broods, right, and the Broods are going to be in some trouble. They are popping one by one, snipe after snipe, just going down here. Oh, yes. Wow, what an engagement, what a way for this to go. That was, well, that was truly wild. I mean, that was just a crazy, crazy fight. And a crazy game. BYUN takes the first map. The Shopify Rebellion will take the 1-0 lead against Alpha X as BYUN gets it done in the late game. What a way to start our day. I told you. That was kind of crazy. Lambo in the chat, very surprised Terran won that fight after the Neurals. I know! I thought the Neurals went down. I was like, that it did turn the fight, right? Because BYUN was like 20 supply up. The Neurals went down. He was like dropped like 20 supply almost instantly. Yeah, it was. I thought the Neurals were going to make the difference because I didn't see how he was going to get rid of the Infestors either. And a lot of the Infestors weren't, didn't go down while the Neural was up either, so it was kind of a problem. But yeah, no, BYUN just a bit too good, huh? Alright, game 2 coming up. Ragnarock's map pick. We'll see what map he wants to take it onto as we get into our second map here. World Team League is delivering lately, guys. I gotta say, the games this season have been absolutely fantastic. They've been a lot of fun. They've been really something to watch. Glitter and Ashes are Pride of Altaris. A lot of Terrans seem to like Glitter and Ashes, so I'd imagine Pride is the obvious choice. I think Glitter and Ashes is actually good for Terran with the choke points and stuff. That's the indication I'm getting from a lot of the players that are happy to seemingly pick it. So yeah, it is going to be, for the moment at least, Pride of Altaris, the map pick, the go-to for the Zergs. I don't think that's surprising. Let's see what happens as we get into the next game on to get this going, guys. It's been a fun one so far. Let's see how it continues. Bottom right, our red Zerg player here is going to be Ragnarok. Top left. No, no. Wait, what? Do we not just zoom in on Ragnarok? Okay, Ragnarok's bottom right, BYUN's top left. Okay, we went back to Ragnarok. Maybe the Chinese commentators were done with their introductions. Okay. Ragnarok bottom right and BYUN top left as we get into another round of this here. And let's see what goes down. Just gonna be getting ourselves into this at the moment then, and seeing how it goes. Seeing what the heck BYUN tries to do on this map. I mean, if you get forced into late game on the last map, do you not get forced into late game on this map? And then is this just not a much better map for late game? And that's my whole kind of thing right now. That's what I'm kind of thinking about when I look at this map and the fact that BYUN has to play on it. And that's why I always said I think the second map's going to be the worry for BYUN. So, especially if he loses, if he wins the first map, map 2 will be the difficult part. But then map 1 was pretty difficult as well, so... Well, yeah. One of those days. We just have great games today, I think. Has a fast startup, no break at all. Yeah, I mean, these players are amped up, ready to go, ready to play. Our second map here. Let's see who can take it down. CV making its way around to the bottom right at the moment. It's just getting that underway to start. Bit of a scout here, as our Reaper obviously has been scooting around as well. Kind of surprised there isn't a proxy, but do you dare proxy on the map that's more proxy friendly? After your opponent open pool first on the last map, which is a bit Terran friendly, it's... Is it not just a bit too obvious is what I'm saying? Is it not just a little bit like, well, duh, you're gonna proxy? In this case, Ragnarok didn't go pool first, but I think this map's not been unplayable for Terran players. We have seen Terrans who can win it out. It generally comes off some aggression early game. Obviously, BYUN believing a little bit in his... ability to put some early game pressure onto the map and then going from there. We're coming through, putting some pressure on. We're just taking a little bit of damage and just seeing the couple of Hellions continuing through. Starport's about halfway done. Bunker gets finished up behind the third base, so that's a little bit annoying, right? Just gonna stop drones from coming over here super quickly because it is a fairly quick third. I mean, that's annoying. Then the Marine shows up as well, so you're going to build some reasonable pressure on this location. We'll see how well it really goes in the next couple of moments. Multiple Queens coming into fight. Reaper is going to come join back up. First Queen, the one taking damage, was the one with the energy, as the SCV needs to be targeted down here, of course. You have a Reaper Grenade available as well, remember, so you can Reaper Grenade to help out. There is the transfusion. I do think that's where this is absolutely going to start coming to a little bit of a close. Trying to put some pressure on with a couple of Hellions, but they don't get very far. The bunker's gone. The Reaper does get away. Mayaga's going to go Banshees from BYUN as well, so just going to try and put on some pressure initially too. Go from there. He's just going to chill out on the bottom of that ramp, and that's going to be seeing a couple of Queens coming through. There's the Baneling Nest setting up on the natural. Spore Crawler finishing as well. Banshee coming across. Hellions moving over. And just going to be seeing everything coming along at the moment down that bottom right-hand side. Banshee just flying over the edge of creep for a moment or two as well, so just kind of trickling over there momentarily. There's our stim pack setting up, and our first Banshee, or second Banshee or so, just joining through everything again, just kind of getting going at the moment, guys. A lot of setup here for this second game. Not much else to be said about it just yet. You see Banshees are cloaked up and going to go for a move in together. Lara's not done yet, so obviously Spore Crawlers are the defense. Obviously you have to work around the spores, which is always frustrating, right? And that's always one of the strengths of these Banshees, being able to find positions where the spores are not, so just between the bases. Banshee is already 3 kills and no damage on the Banshees. Now they're going to pick away that Bane Nest. Well, Lara is done now, so obviously you can start up an Overseer and you can start progressing toward an answer for this. So we begin to set up for that. That's how we get things moving. And yeah, we just continue on through as the Marines in production, the Siege Tanks coming up. All of this just getting going for this first game. There's a Spire quickly from RAGNAROK, so he is going to look to play Lingbane Muta. Obviously, large map, definitely something that you can... definitely something I don't think is too crazy, right? Just, I mean, you get Spire up, you get the Mutas out. Yeah, I mean, big map. It is going to be good. This Hellions getting forward just before the other units showed up as well, right? That's such a shame, because if these Hellions fight with everything else, the Lings alone really can't do anything at all. But obviously, the Hellions on their own, then the other units on their own, it is a little bit more problematic than that, so... not actually going to be able to do as much as we're just going to be seeing the Marines coming forward. The Banshees coming through. Blings trying to come forward as well. First Queen goes down. Second Queen goes down also. Now there's Lingbane Force coming up. I'm just going to see the Marines lifting. The Medivacs. Banshees still here. Novacy is there though, so the Banshees are going to start dropping as BYUN picks up just a few more kills. There goes the other Banshee. We got rid of a lot of the Banelings at least, so it is expensive for RAGNAROK. He will have to rebuild those Banes to stay safe for the later part of this game. Right now, those Lings just getting across and snipping down a couple of SCVs. As we'll drop a couple mules back in as well. And just going to be seeing the Marine production continuing as an armory is now on the way out here from BYUN. Scan that armory up and rolling. There's 1-1 upgrades coming through. Looking pretty good across the board. Become the Mutalisks. Now obviously going to be RAGNAROK's chance to put some pressure in. He's actually got very quick upgrades compared to BYUN as well. It's a 1-1 against currently 0-0. Not that it looks like many fights are going to break out. I suppose we could see a fight break out with these double drops. Here's show up a couple of SCVs initially. A Liberator gets seen, and the Hamirs are like, yeah, we'd like to kill that off. And that's 150 gas just dead before it even really arrived. So, yeah, 150 gas dead on arrival. A few SCVs going down. Mutas are getting chased in a turret finish. So that's one dead Mutalisk on the edge of this. He's targeting the wrong Mutalisk. Oh my goodness. The Muta that was actually on the edge, the more obvious one to attack, just got ignored. And he hit a Muta on the inside of the pack with the turret. And the Muta on the corner did not go down. I thought that was the obvious thing that was going to happen there, but not the case. Not the case at all. Ragnarok is getting into a great setup here. I think when Ragnarok gets 2-2, he can probably force a pretty big fight. I think he can try and take that across the map and just, even off 3, probably have a good time because he'll be 2-2 against 1-1. That's obviously usually pretty good in the first place. And I think that's actually going to be a pretty big part of this game, the 2-2 timing of the Zerg. He sets up an infestation pit, so he looks towards tech into the future as well, but I do think we've just got bits and pieces that will go down before then. I mean, we are maxed out here as well. 2-2's not even done yet, so you could even go as 2-2 finishes and you have a bank to instantly rebuild with as well, so it's even better than what I was initially thinking and mentioning, so yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't at this point. Here comes the Lings actually going to start running up. This is just going to be pure Ling Bane. Not sure where the Mutas are at right now. They're just... I mean, he's just going to crash the Banes into the planetary. He is, just to speed up the process. He builds up, gets maxed out again. 2-2's now about to be done as well, so that's going to be a part of this next fight. Guns back out into the center. Here the Mutas, they could obviously, if the Ling Bane can overwhelm the ground force, the Mutas can then chase the Medivacs and look for some kills. And they are already target fired the first Medivac down. Obviously the boost starts up. A couple of Widow Mines being cleared out. As BYUN is just... it's just so far not really able to... do too much. We just come in, we grab a Widow Mine. I mean, the game just playing out as we kind of expected it, right? Big map. Once the Zerg gets control of the map, it is just all over the place. And the Terra just can't really compete with that at all. Banner's going to finish up in the center, the Ling Bane just getting going. And Ragnarok just comes rolling in with this fight. Can BYUN find enough with this? I mean, initially it looked like he was trading well, and he will have units from the right side too. It's a lot of Bane, so it's a very expensive army of Ragnarok, and the splits at the end are really good from BYUN. Ragnarok more or less gets it going into the instant rebuild though, and that's going to be one of the bigger problems here still, right? Do you think so? Yeah, I mean, 3-3 starting up from BYUN. Ragnarok on his way to his own 3-3 Chitinous plane. He just has so many bases that you can trade like this, and BYUN obviously on 4 bases for now. Yes, he's going to be taking good fights, he's going to be taking good, efficient trades, but again, efficiency doesn't matter if your opponent just completely outplays you and outnumbers you. That's a completely different situation. Ling just going to come up to the top again. No Banelings here, just going to go for the run by. He does just want to try and kill a depot here to let the Lings in. That was not successful. It does maybe pull BYUN's attention away, so the fourth base can go into fire from Ling Bane again, as BYUN really has no option here but just to let this happen. Just try and, weather the storm. Just try and wait it out, Get to a point where you can somehow just survive through this. I mean, it's rough. Don't get me wrong. It is definitely not easy right now. BYUN is in a world of trouble. It's not where he would like to be, I'm sure. Unfortunately, it's where he is. I don't really know what you do to fix that either, I mean, one big push through Ascendant now. I mean, it basically is a hoping game of just hoping your opponent does overcommit into some of these fights and they don't go as well for him as they should. And then maybe, I guess, like I say, one attack like this, run by, gets denied again. That's good news. He's going to hit the third base mineral line, though. At least he's going to get into the natural and main, but still going to lose a lot of SCVs here. I'm just going to have to surround a Thor to try and keep it alive. He's pulling back home to deal with those Lings, but I mean, that just gives Ragnarok more setup time. Ragnarok has the money to trade out like this for days upon days, so, as far as he's concerned, this is always going to be a win for him. Because if BYUN's not attacking him, he can't actually die. And if he can't actually die, he's just got the economy to rebuild and rebuild and rebuild. Additional SCVs going down, Queen's coming through, Bio Army coming up. I think it's being picked away at. They are going to come across, and SCV is going to take just a little bit of additional damage as well. Things continue to roll through this and just aiming towards this army. Widowmine's connecting as the army has to keep on splitting back. A lot of these Banes going down. The Ultralisks in some trouble also. Thor's going to be here, just continue to fight through this. Those Ultras are going to go down, but I mean, the rebuild is already on the way. Again, Ragnarok is maxed out again, and BYUN is just down 60, 70 supply, and is just going to take a while to rebuild, and I mean, it's more of the same, right? We've seen it once, we're just going to see it again. That's how this game is going to play out repeatedly for the foreseeable future, pretty much. Gonna kill off these rocks, which I assume gives him the attack path down the right side, but I don't know if that's really going to be all too meaningful at the end of the day. Now we're going to see Ragnarok kind of thinking about going in from two sides there, decides not to in the end. He's actually waiting on the ultra speed off creep, so that would help the ultras a lot, especially in moments like this, so yeah, it would be nice to get there, as the Widowmine's actually getting massive connection on Banelings. I mean, don't get me wrong, the efficiency trades here are still good for BYUN, and that's why he's still in the game, because if Ragnarok continues to trade like this and at some point just goes one step too far, that is where BYUN might actually just be able to win out. We've seen BYUN do it. He's done it against DRG a few times and stuff. It's actually a cool moment, because these are the only, or some of the only Banelings morphing in, so there's not a lot of Banelings actually ready to fight, and that is a bit of a bigger problem for sure. BYUN got a gold base up. He's going to try and get to 5 bases as well, as he gets what was originally the 4th base going again as well. Okay, I mean, it gives BYUN some hope, right? Like I say, it gives him some chances. It feels like he's in a better spot than he's been in for a while, so like I say, you can only be happy about that if you're a BYUN fan, because it feels like you're giving yourself some chances again. Just going to be seeing BYUN is almost maxed out even, and Ragnarok still has money in the bank. BYUN's army 140 supplies, so he can take efficient trades because his army is just so big. It trades so well every single time, basically. We go with the army of Ragnarok coming through. Will he be able to get a crushing defeat for BYUN's force this time around? Bane's rolling up this ramp. The Marine Marauder taking a lot of damage. Continue to run away. Banes are still chasing through with a couple of Widow Mines. Going to get blown up. 10, 11 SCVs already falling as well. Now BYUN's only on 25 workers, and that's the problem. Losing even further economy really means another rebuild, or even thinking about in the future getting maxed out becomes almost impossible again, and that may just be where we've got to draw the line on our belief in BYUN getting back from this. It's kind of funny. It feels like last season The Terrans had Beckett, so if they lost the first map, they just picked Beckett for map 2. This season, it feels like the Zergs just have pride of Altaris. So if Terran lose the first map, or win the first map, the Zergs just pick pride of Altaris for map 2 to get back in the game, or back in the series. Yeah, there's really, I don't know what else BYUN can really do here, guys. I'm out of options. I have been for a little while. I mean, the plan was to kind of just wait it out, try and survive and see if you can. And yeah, like I say, with the extra SCVs that went down, now you just really don't have the economy to do that. So 10 Corruptors coming through is going to go to, well, okay. Tries to bullet throw the Ultras, loses quite a few of them. RAGNAROK kind of laughs. He realizes that maybe was not quite the play, actually, at the end of the day. Realizing that maybe was not how you meant to do that. A little bit awkward. Zerg could take Jagannatha before too. But Jagannatha wasn't a free win for Zerg. Jagannatha was not so Zerg favorite like Beckett was for Terran, or like Pride is for Zerg in this matchup, I don't think. I don't think, I mean, Jagannatha you saw a lot more. I feel like Jagannatha was like 55-45. Whereas I feel like Beckett was like 60-40, 65-35. This map I think is the same, CVT as well. It's just not comparable. Oh. This, are we going to see the final fight here? We are at the point of 100 supply for BYUN and dropping below it. The Ultras are still charging forward. I think RAGNAROK knows he's got enough. And that for now, my friends, is going to be a GG. And we'll take 1-1 between Shopify and Alpharex at the end of the first 2 games. Guys, I gotta go check on the puppy. I'll be right back ASAP for games 3 and 4, Classic and